Had a lot of interesting stuff I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
We're live now. We can't even talk about it.
No, we can't. So listen, first thing, shout out to Steve Prefontaine, the greatest distance runner in American history. He died. He was 24, 50 years ago. Pre had a very interesting way of running. You go out front and you don't let anybody catch you. He never like said, well, I'll hang back. His whole thing was to crush everybody at the start of the race and then just stay ahead of them. So,
Queen's Gambit.
Yep. So Hunter, for you, your friend Steve Prefontaine, who died long before you were born.
Well, I will tell you, let's see if this actually works. This is nice. Look at this little feature. My first pair of track and field shoes that you bought me were a pair of Nikes with Steve Prefontaine inside of the shoe. I only wear Pumas now, but he was inside of the shoe. And my grandfather, if you look way in the background, you see that white square up in the background. He was obsessed with Prefontaine, and his buddy Nike Joe, who was one of the biggest salesmen for Nike when they were getting started, was a big part of that whole kind of era of the Nike runners at Oregon. So he was definitely a leader for me. But since you guys brought him up, I want to bring up the new version of Steve Prefontaine and see if you guys think that I should empty my bank account and get one. Boom! Is this going to be, true or not, the greatest car ever created in American history?
Sports
of American
car,
cars? Yeah.
Yes.
Of American cars? Probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a bargain, too. It says it right there.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Really, the fiscally responsible thing to do would be to buy
Yeah,
it.
Hunter, that's the way that I would, instead of making improvements to your cabin so you can have people up there for camps, I would buy this.
Plus, you
Thank
don't have
you.
a car right now. You have no car, so.
Thank you. Thank you for having, yeah, guys, we're talking about 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. We got quarter mile times. I think we're looking at 9.6 right here, baby. Oh,
Yeah, miles per gallon are 6.
that was my Ram TRX. So who needs gas? But since you guys are bringing up gas, I would like to bring up something very interesting. Our first topic of the day. Good morning, everybody. You guys know the deal. This is true or not. We got Rudy on legal counsel. We got Douglas McIntyre leading the way as our chief advisor of data. And then we had Garrett McIntyre, who may show up, who, I got nothing to say. Got nothing to say about that. But you guys have something you really brought up that I want to encounter today, which is, are we going to have a revolution in California because of this? Come on, you motherfucker.
Hey, they're young children who watch this show, so be careful with your language.
That is true. Honestly, I would not send my kids to history classes. I'd send my kids to True or Not. Oh, here we go. Here we go, guys. Present the screen. Boom. Entire screen. Enhance. Is it right here?
I don't know.
Nope. Here we go, guys. Supposedly gas prices, based off what's going on right now with this new carbon tax, it's going to increase by 50 cents by July 1st. And now that the refineries are basically going to be shutting down in California, it's going to go up to $8.50 a gallon on average. So if I pause this, California Air Resource Board ruled a change to set off, sorry about that, to take effect July 1st can potentially raise gas prices in California. The rule, which involves amendment to low carbon fuel standards, aims to reduce the carbon emissions by incentivizing us to use cleaner fuels. Do you think there's a chance in hell that they're really going to let gas prices in California jack up that hard?
I do.
Yeah, based on
I don't know what it is there right now, but like when I was there last year, it was like $5.50 when I was in Marina Del Rey. So it's not a huge amount.
It's $5.50 now, and it was $7 for a while. But the thing is okay. California, I think, is the biggest agricultural state in the United States. So, biggest state. It has probably more supercars and 8-cylinder cars than any other state in the United States because of population base. So you're thinking that they are going to take this entire industry, which is probably hanging on by a thread, the agricultural industry in California, because you're getting fucked with water. Everything's on fire half the time. Everything's getting more expensive to operate.
So Texas leads the country in V8 powered vehicles because of trucks. So
what about supercars, though?
Well, hang on. The other part of this is that Newsom and the California government for a while has wanted to stop the ability to buy EVs after 2030. Now, I think
stop the ability to buy gas cars and go all EVs.
Gas car. No, you can't buy a gas car. Sorry, after 2030. Now, I think that's been kicked out. But the fact is that they are trying to block gas cars off the roads. Now, here's the thing. According to a study that came out from a USC professor, because they are taking those two fineries offline, it should raise gas prices by as much as 85 cents per gallon. So they're forecasting that by the end of 2026, gas prices could be $8.43. Okay, so there's.
I'm not gonna lie. I would move. I would buy a bicycle.
You have a bicycle.
I know, but I would buy a better bicycle. One of those electric bicycles. I'll tell you something. So the other day, I was talking to one of my friends. She's a real estate agent. She doesn't move around that much. She moves around, but not like I do, where I'm going back and forth to my cabin all the time and I'm going up into the mountains, hauling shit around. She has one of those home carports with the charger and everything like that. But she let me know, she's like, it's really tough for me to do almost anything with my Rivian because when I go to charge it, she has to go spend an hour there. If I go to the electric port here in Malibu, the Tesla port, there's fucking lines. Like people are parking up and around.
It doesn't work.
Everything.
The reason people don't want electric cars is there aren't enough public charging ports. And a lot of them either vandalized because a lot of them are not inside big cities. And the other thing is that now there are too many electric cars for the chargers in some parts of the country. So one of the reasons people won't buy electric cars, in addition to everything else, is you're in lines in the public or they're vandalized. Now, the other thing about California is California has the highest state gas tax in the country by far. If California took away its state gas tax, its gas price would be like Michigan. They tax you guys like crazy every time you buy a gallon of gas. Well, I think it's 85 cents.
We're going to talk about the difference between a fun state and a non-fun state when it comes to gun policies. This right here is the interviews right now. So we're all voting true that you guys think this gas price can go up, by the way.
Yes.
All right. Anybody who's listening to this, time to pack your shit. Okay. This is an interesting one. So, those kind of like court hearings where kind of like the chief of police has to come in and maybe talk to the crowd.
About somebody being killed or what?
Yeah. So this right here is the difference between two chief of police is basically. So first chief of police is talking about stealing your car in Canada. And basically just told all of the inhabitants of the Canadian town to leave their key fobs at the front door so that someone can steal the car more easily.
You really think he said that?
This is what exactly he's saying. This guy is right here as he's addressing it. This is the American guy. This is the American chief of police basically saying, hey guys, please shoot them. And we have a gun class. We have a gun class every single in Santa Rosa County. Look this up, Rudy, or somebody.
I'm going to ask Rudy this question. I don't think there's any place in the United States where you can shoot somebody in public while they're stealing your car.
Well,
if it's a stand your ground like law, and you feel like the theft of your car endangers you or your loved ones, then you can shoot.
Right, but what I'm saying is that most car thefts don't fall into that category. Most people, when somebody steals your car, usually they aren't threatening you; they're taking a possession.
Yeah, most car thefts are like you're in your house and they're taking your car and you don't even know about it to the next day.
That's my point. It's not you. The chances it's a stand your ground issue are small.
The Canadian police chief did say that, though.
This is a great story. This is about this fitness influencer. This guy's I was talking to my friend the other day. Basically, no, this one's the one who got killed. A pretty big fitness influencer just got, they like robbed his house, and they were robbing him while he was coming up to his house, and he pulled a gun out. He had a concealed carry and gunned the guys down. And all he did was lose his concealed carry opportunity.
So, Rudy, there's a good question. I assume in most places, if you are in your house and you're being robbed or threatened in every state, you can shoot them.
Yeah, you're clear to go. I know there was a couple like super liberal states that were tossing around the idea. I think it was California actually, of like you have to flee law. But none of that has been passed anywhere. I think you're pretty safe that if someone's in your house robbing you, you can shoot them.
Right. So if this guy walked into his house with a gun and he was being robbed, in most states, I'm pretty sure that you could shoot him. If he's outside, you almost can never shoot him. Rudy, is that a fair interpretation of the law as you know it?
If you are being robbed, that's pretty accurate, unless the person happened to be outside and had a gun pointed your direction. You have to be in imminent danger, and you can answer with the force necessary to check that. So if you shoot someone, you have to kind of like make the argument that in most places you felt like you were threatened. Now that's a subjective.
But in your house, that isn't the rule.
In your house, it is kind of like by definition you are under threat. Outside your house, it's a little bit more blurry to where you have to say like, okay, am I threatened? It's like a little bit higher of a bar. If you have a good argument that you felt threatened though, then you can get away with it.
You might go to court, but
yeah,
you'd probably win. All right, Hunter.
So we're going true or not. You're allowed to protect.
In your house, for sure.
Yeah. Thank God I got that.
Oh, yeah. I think that's true in almost every state.
Thank God I got that dirty Harry pistol.
It's one of the reasons people keep guns.
Okay, well, let's take a little bit more of a fun approach. Get off the whole pistol thing. You guys know Stevie Wonder?
Sure.
I watched him perform live one time about 20 feet from him. I teared up.
So close he could see you.
Yes. Okay. Then you prove my point exactly.
Rudy, that's you can't say that.
Yes, we can, because look, guys, here is evidence of, watch this, is Stevie Wonder blind? So we're hanging out, got a whole arrangement of famous people. Watch this. Everybody pay attention. He caught the microphone.
That doesn't mean anything.
What do you mean? He's blind. Watch the microphone.
He could have been told. He could have been told they were going to throw the microphone.
Look at that. He's reaching. You guys see that immediate pivot right here, reaching over to grab the microphone. You don't turn your head that way and reach your hand out.
Unless somebody says, I'm throwing you the mic.
See, he tried to grab it, and the other guy helped him out.
Would be one of the greatest fakes in all of history had he been able to see this entire time, but I think that probably maybe his own foot hit it, and so he kind of knew the direction that it was coming down.
He started performing when he was like 3.
Yeah, I think he is blind.
So
are you sure? This guy right here, Johnny Green, Stevie makes you wonder. I like that comment right there. So what? Nobody's saying that could potentially be.
No, I'm way
less than 1% chance, I think, of him being able to see.
No.
You know what you guys are? Non-believers.
Rock the foundation of my belief system if he could see.
All right, fine. Fuck it. What about this one? Now, I brought a couple things up and I have to go find the notes, but just recently, May 2025 in High River, Colorado, we have a Bigfoot sighting. Do you guys see him right here?
Yeah.
You guys aren't believing that this could be real at all?
Well, what I'm asking is there a way that could be a doctored photo?
Well, I mean, it's video on the iPhone. At this point, like, how many videos have come up of Bigfoot in its entirety? And it's got to be in.
Now, is this High River, Alberta?
No, this is in Colorado.
Because Bigfoot has been, maybe he only goes to places that are called High River, because there are High River sightings of him in High River in Canada.
Well, it says High River in Colorado. You don't see that at all?
No,
Well,
I understand that, but I'm saying that there's also a High River, Canada, where
comes off a pretty credible page, Colorado River Expeditions.
okay.
We got 6,000 comments.
Okay. Colorado there's been a surge of reporting in Bigfoot sightings this year with over 100 reports. A notable sighting occurred May 24th near the upper Colorado River, captured on video by a raiding group, Colorado River Expeditions. The footage shows a tall, dark figure moving through the woods, sparking widespread debate. Listen, that could be that could be Larry Bird.
I love the idea of a Bigfoot, but I saw a video yesterday where Trump and Elon were talking to the Prince of Saudi Arabia, calling him DJ Khaled, and it looked a lot more realistic, and it was like really, really close. So the AI could absolutely create a faraway picture of a Bigfoot. I think that if there is some kind of like megafauna type hominid, you're likely going to find it somewhere like in Nepal, where it's like less explored. I think the chances that there's like a Gigantopithecus type creature in North America, especially the United States, is probably very slim.
No. Also, the tracking mechanisms right now that they have for this stuff, that track heat, that track smell. I mean, if this stuff was true, someone would have found Bigfoot one time. And there's been thousands of sightings, but no one has ever been able to bring a Bigfoot in once.
That's part of the allure. That's what makes it so exciting.
Okay.
They're impossible.
I have to tell you, that's true. Part of the allure is that no one has ever brought him in.
All right. Well, this is going to be a good transition if we're all going to vote that he doesn't exist. But this is really interesting. Basically, have you guys ever heard of the greatest artist who never lived? And basically, David Bowie basically created this guy named Nat Tate, a fake artist. He and a friend created a fake artist and all of his art just to get a reaction out of the art community. Have you guys ever heard about this?
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, he was a fictional person.
Yeah, he was a fictional person. It was a gag.
How insane is that? Have you guys ever heard? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is bizarre.
Have you ever heard the like the Jackson Pollock CIA story? Have you guys ever heard about this?
No.
Was Jackson Pollock's art really a psyop by the CIA? Supposedly, like they basically used Jackson Pollock to mess around with the USSR.
Yes, I think this is true.
How weird is it though?
True? Since he basically lived on Long Island his whole life, why do you think that's true?
It wasn't that they used Jackson Pollock. The CIA used like abstract art to process like freedoms. They were trying to use it in psyops, but it wasn't like Jackson Pollock was this is kind of twisting it a little bit. Jackson Pollock was not like a CIA operative, but they used his art to try to convey themes of freedom in the USSR?
Well, according to this, declassified information from the 1990s confirms the agency's role in promoting art, including his work, as part of Cold War cultural diplomacy. Now, there's a difference. This is an important difference, and it's not subtle. It's one thing to use the art to try to confuse people or make them crazy or make them somehow make them think one thing is true to another other. This was for a cultural exchange.
Look at the statement right here. The cultural cognoscenti and the CIA fought the cultural Cold War side by side with Whitney's Trust acting as a funding conduit. What the hell would be even the point of like creating fake CIA ops of art and even creating a fake artist like that? David Bodie's a sick and twisted man.
Okay, but let's go back to this. If you're going to a country and you're trying to warm up your relationships with them, one of the things you may want to do is show them some of the artistic part of your work. Singers, dancers, art, sculpture. That was what this was about. They didn't send it over like a weird statue or something to make the Russians crazy. It was so that they could get in touch with American creativity. My guess is that the Soviets sent something over to the United States to look at. It was probably ugly and deformed, but that isn't the point. I don't think that using this is some sort of a psyops thing. I don't see that. Rudy, are you up and down or down on this?
I think that they sent art over there, not in like a MK Ultra psyop kind of way, but just it wouldn't surprise me if they sent over things that had like cultural themes of freedom that were different in there to try to upset the base. I think we threw a lot of stuff at the wall at that period of our country and to see what sticks.
All right, the CIA did fund this. So the thing that we don't agree on is, why was it sent there? Was it sent there so that they could understand our culture, or was it sent over there to mess with their minds?
So are we
the
all
USSR did send art to the USA and Western countries, generally for cultural diplomacy, but not psyops, and art and culture as ideological tools. So there was an element of psychological influence in these exchanges.
Okay, I believe that. I'll give that description a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So we're going to admit that they've been using, including David Bowie, they've been manipulating the world using art as a psyop type thing.
No, the David Bowie thing does not have anything to do with the Soviets.
Oh, it does. You know, David Bowie was part of the CIA at this point.
He was roommates with Charles Manson.
Hey!
And the Unabomber.
Okay. Well, maybe. All right, so let's talk about another weird, creepy, deep state kind of thing. Have you guys ever heard of...
Have
you guys ever heard of room 641A? You say, who's Stanley?
Somebody in the comments.
He's probably talking shit. In 2006, former AT&T technician Mark Klein discovered a room with no handle, labeled room 641A. Inside of it, AT&T data center in San Francisco, it was a highly classified space known as SG3, secure room operated by the partnership with the NSA. Basically, he found that there was fiber optic splitters, duplicates, duplicating all the internet traffic passing through the building. And the NSA was monitoring emails, web activity, and messages through the AT&T building. There's like a massive surveillance room.
What year was this?
This is in 2006, and this is what was discovered as black rooms.
I think this is true.
It looks like this may exist.
When did that act pass? When was the Patriot Act passed, where they could basically like look in on anything?
2001 or 2002. It was right after 9/11.
Right.
So I mean, I guess this isn't that crazy. I guess this is just part of the Patriot Act.
No. Well, I don't know if it's the Patriot Act or not, but it says that a former AT&T technician, Mark Klein, blew the whistle. So
yeah, there was a lawsuit. Team versus AT&T.
Is that
So
dude
this
dead
was
now?
a massive illegal program to wiretap and data mine American communications by the NSA.
Yep. I would say I think that this is true. People would say it can't be true, but it's true.
Snowden talked about this too. This is one of his things.
Do you guys? Okay, so we're admitting that basically we're being watched at all times.
Oh yeah.
I mean, anybody who doesn't think that at this point is crazy.
We're being watched at all times. It's one
CIA loves True or Not.
Listen, my wife will not use Siri or Alexa.
Yeah, but to think that you're not using it doesn't mean that it's not recording you.
No, she what do you call it? She uninstalls them.
You want to know something crazy? Remember that guy Mo that I moved out to Malibu with?
Oh my God, what was wrong with him?
Well, he was a genius in his own unique way. And man, from a young age, whenever we would talk anything about business or anything crazy, he would take all of our phones and put them in the microwave.
Listen, he was not a genius. He was unstable. There's a difference.
He was a multi-millionaire in his teenage years.
So what?
Listen, I don't know anybody who pulled that off.
So was Stevie Wonder.
Was he?
Of course he was. He was a big star from when he was very.
So you're going to say he's not a genius?
Stevie Wonder is a genius. I'm saying your friend was not.
A microwave will not block signal transmissions from a cell phone either.
Well, I think it was more of just like preventing any kind of like audio being picked up by the microphones. If we didn't have a microwave, well, because it's just a closed box. If we didn't have a microwave, you'd put it in something else.
Okay, so what you're saying is he could have put it into any closed metal box. He just happened to have a microwave.
Yeah.
The microwave acts as a Faraday cage to block microwaves, but it does not block radio signals.
Well,
so he's kind of onto something, but not fully onto something.
Listen, he's trying.
Yeah, I have to tell you something. This is what I love about this part of social media. You get people post stuff, and like a third of it's true, and what they try to do is bait you into thinking it's all true.
Well, since you attacked Mo, we're going to attack you now, Dad.
Good.
Dad's favorite establishment in the world, because he attended here, is Harvard. And supposedly another psychopath at Harvard, who is the head of the hospital's morgue, pleads guilty to selling human body parts. Dad, is this true? Is your establishment once again?
What do you think, Rudy?
Up to no good?
I sure hope not.
What do you think?
I feel like it's one of those things, like you just said, there is something like true here, but it was spun in a way that makes it sound kind of like crazy. Like they probably sold human body parts as part of some medical research thing. Like you order so many parts per year to work on, like in the medical side, and then you don't necessarily use them all. So
okay,
it appears
that this is true.
Oh, Dad, you guys got
the guy's name Cedric Lodge? No, is the guy's name Cedric Lodge?
What?
Hunter, is the guy's name Cedric Lodge?
It doesn't list the name. Let's see.
Yep, he pleaded guilty.
All right.
Cedric Lodge and his wife Denise.
Cedric Lodge, who managed the morgue for nearly 30 years. What a creep.
True.
Pleaded guilty.
True.
Between 2018 and 2020, he removed body parts, including heads, brains, skin, bones from the cadavers without authorization. He transported the remains to his home in New Hampshire, where he and his wife.
The best thing about this is that his wife helped him.
The family that steals bodies together stays together is an old thing.
Fuck, dude.
My God, I cannot believe this.
But
that is twice.
That is not responsible for the intentional tort.
But what it is these establishments of higher intelligent human beings think they're above the law. You had that creepy teacher we talked about last week who is basically making fake studies. Then you got this mortician dude who's selling body parts, all because they had a high GPA when they were in high school.
What years was he doing this?
It's 2018 to 2020.
I was gone then.
And I wasn't there yet.
Okay. So
I don't know.
You can't blame it on us.
Yeah, true or not has nothing to do with
I forgot Rudy is attending the business school there as well. So the two of you are cohorts in this perverse plan. I'm freaked out. I shouldn't be talking to you two.
For what they're charging, I should get some body parts. I got that knee surgery coming up. I could use a
That's
new
right.
Well, you
That's
can.
right.
Right. You get some ligaments from cadavers.
Oh gosh, there's so many things I want to talk about. Let me just keep on cruising around. Ooh. This is a creepy
What?
story. I don't know if it's really good for the show. It's about chimpanzees in Uganda that ended up eating people because they started to encroach on the forests.
I'd say that's true. I could see chimpanzees. Chimpanzees are a wild animal. I don't see why a wild animal wouldn't eat a person.
Well, this guy had like local folklore around him because he was a famous chimp because he would just continue to eat people. It's like that famous lion or something like that like killed a tiger that killed a ton of people in India. Yeah, once you get a taste of the baby flesh. All right, this one's creepy. Look at this one. Right after the incident in 1857, India would be transferred to the hands of the British Crown. The country would remain the colony for another 88 years as the entire wealth and resources would be carefully extracted by the empire. And this was a version of death. Execution by cannon exhibits show exactly how men who revolted against Britain would be killed.
Well, I know that they do that now in Korea. So let's see if in North Korea they do execute people by cannon.
Fuck. Well, I'm not gonna lie. That would probably be over pretty quickly.
What do you mean quickly? What do you mean quickly?
I'm pretty sure a cannonball went through your center section right here.
No, it would be more than quickly.
Yeah, instantaneous.
Yeah, I was about to say there's no measurement of time that would exactly. You'd have no idea what time is.
There are some historical accounts that suggest this was used, but it was not common. But I mean, I feel like by 2025, people have been killed intentionally in every manner of a way you can kill someone.
It was called.
So I believe it.
It was called blowing from a gun. It was its official designation.
It's a bad name.
So you would know, but you see that? No, go back to that because that's not the way it worked. They would tie the people to the front of the cannon.
That's exactly what
you weren't at any distance from it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that picture is.
Yeah.
The other thing is that India was completely raped over by the British for decades.
Out of curiosity, how do the British get away with no backlash for hundreds and hundreds of years of crushing the world? Nobody ever brings up the shit that they did.
Of course they do. It's not a major part of history.
Not like the United States. The United States is always in trouble for something. Everyone's having to pay reparations for something we did.
Listen, they were in trouble. There were huge wars fought to try to contain the British Empire.
But now nobody gives them shit anymore.
Well, that's because they don't have the power anymore. It all disappeared after World War II.
Yeah, they gave it all up after World War II. Canada was Britain until World War II, which is wild to me.
I don't understand. The British just seem to kind of just like, they're like, I would give up the power too. I'm like, yeah, we have no power. Bye.
Hang on. King Charles is still the head of state in Canada.
I don't know if that really represents anything.
Well, it doesn't mean
a piece of paper.
He is Rudy, you check that out. King Charles is still the head of state in Canada, which is why he went over there recently to speak to Parliament.
This is an exciting one.
He is the head of state, constitutional monarchy, Commonwealth realm.
Yeah, I think there are about 17 countries where he's the head of state, which are former British territories. So, Hunter, the British ruled large parts of the world for centuries.
I think it's kind of bullshit that
UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, Grenada, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, St.
Love me
Lucia,
some Papua New Guinea,
St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis.
See?
Whoo! Dude, I'm not going to High Rocks in Cape Town. Quit asking that fucking question or I'll pop you in the head.
Wow.
Sorry.
Right, what else we got here? That's
okay. It's called the Commonwealth. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, this one's interesting. Have you ever seen this? The radiation going around electric cars. Do you think that there's any reality to this? Just like crazy amounts of radiation scores inside of things like Teslas?
I think that
I'm
any
going to say, without looking it up, I'm going to say no, because it would be a major reason that people would not buy an electric car.
I mean, I think there's electromagnetic fields generated by the way a battery works, but it's probably so low that it wouldn't hurt anybody.
It would be a scandal because it's not that hard to figure out.
I mean, I think it's like radioactive, like your cell phone's radioactive.
Yeah, listen, it's this is like complete bull.
You think so?
Yes.
But I mean, like, do you remember that study about the mice with the pants, the rats with the pants, and they found it that polyester blends basically kind of like was like chemical castration?
Look, this is like the old saying that if you use a cell phone, you're going to get a glioblastoma, which is a brain cancer that kills you usually within a year. They've been saying that forever. They do studies. It isn't true. It would be, if EVs had this problem, it would be a scandal everywhere. I mean, EVs are now being sold in almost every country in the world.
Also, I didn't know that polyester was chemical castration, because you think about like the largest boom in American history, the baby boomers, like Sansa slacks.
I've never seen this.
Sansa slacks were very popular with the post-World War II.
This happened to mice.
Rats with what is it? Polyester. Dude, this is a really fucked up thing. Professor Cario, University of Egypt, who died in 2007, found that rats who wore polyester pants or blends displayed less sexual activity. Because of the electrostatic charge created by the polyester, it suggested that results can be applied to humans. And they also tested their sperm as well.
They had pants on. That's probably why the female rats were not into it. Why are
I'm just saying,
mouse?
Listen, it's pretty crazy.
Okay, this is one researcher in Egypt. One researcher in Egypt.
But okay, so a lot of the things that we study in this is like, the point that I'm trying to make is sometimes people come up with like a piece of information.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it gets shut down before it really has legs, because it would be very much catastrophic to the industries.
Yes, but polyester was worn by hundreds of millions of people. You would think that would be.
Yeah, but we have so many chemicals. Okay, here we go. Here's one. Like, I always do this and I feel like nobody's listened. Okay, here we go. This is one that just would be like, yeah, wait a second. Is nobody paying attention? This right here is from this guy is talking about Bill 639, protecting the Chinese chemical companies that are poisoning America. The section 19 is talking specifically about how these chemical companies are not liable for anything whatsoever that happens to you after you basically read the label. Like a lot of these companies that are major manufacturing, like it was my buddy Austin, who's my business partner, was just here yesterday. He got a settlement from the United States government because of faulty earplugs. And it was made by the M3 manufacturing company, and it was a $4 billion lawsuit. These people will just give you anything, try to get away with it as long as they possibly can.
What's the law? What's the law again? So we can look it up.
This one is called Farm Bill 639. It is is protecting chemical companies that are poisoning America. That is the paraphrasing of it.
All right, let's see what we
Section 19 is the one that is kind of the bad one.
Well, okay, there's a controversial part of this. The controversial provision, Section 19, limits liability for pesticide manufacturers, preventing individuals harmed by exposure from seeking legal recourse in court. Now,
Oh, so you're saying the chemical companies
Yeah.
that pour shit all over our food are not liable?
Well, the first thing is that this bill was introduced. I don't think this bill has been passed.
Yeah, but
It's
they're
part of
trying
the
to
North,
pass it.
it's part of the North Carolina Farm Act of 2025. But it appears that this is just about pesticides.
That's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that if the pesticide label tells you it's toxic, it's like if I grew tomatoes and then sprayed Roundup all over them and then sold them at a farmer's market, but the label told me that it was toxic, then the company has no liability, which to me, this is something that could totally be in a bill because I think the government does stuff like this all the time.
But that's the thing that I was talking about. So the pants thing from the guy in Cairo, if we go back to the root of this conversation, it's like, yeah, we knew it wasn't great, but we're making a shit ton of money. We should probably just push this forward.
Okay, but the question
Things that came out in the 50s were horrible for you, but they were very convenient. So they were used like Velveeta cheese, and like all the food products that were like.
Okay. Look, this isn't a national law. This was introduced in the North Carolina Senate. The bill is a North Carolina Farm Act of 2025. So this is not a national bill.
No, it's not, but it starts somewhere.
Look, the provision is in the bill. I just can't see if it's been passed.
Well, also the biggest pork farm in the world, I think, is in North Carolina. And that's owned by the Chinese. So they probably just have a lot of people in their pockets over there, if I had to guess. What the hell was I going to say to you guys? I just had something important I was going to bring up. What were we talking about? Oh, Crisco. Do you guys know how Crisco came to be with cottonseed oil?
No.
Cottonseed oil was a byproduct of just like producing like cotton, and they didn't know what to do with all this oil. So that's how they came up with Crisco. And they knew it was like toxic shit. And they're like, we got so much of this. Let's whip it up and put it in a can and sell it to people as a cooking oil. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now look, just let's go back to something to make sure that here's an example. You said the Chinese own the largest pork farm in the country.
Yes.
So I think that's Smithfield Foods. I don't want to go back to something, but it's an example of stuff you hear that may not be true. Okay, so Crisco, Rudy, what do you think about Crisco? What's the information?
I think that Crisco is most likely toxic, and they know that, and they sell it. I think there's a lot of products like that. If that's the root of what we're trying to figure out here. Smithfield is also the largest pork producer, which is a subsidiary of the Hong Kong-based WH Group. So it is Chinese.
Interesting.
Is Smithfield owned by a Chinese company?
Hong Kong-based WH Group.
Wow, Hunter shoots me down.
Okay, here's one that spins from that. Similar to the Ukraine drone attack that happened, Operation Spiderweb. Is China buying farmland in the U.S. so that they can launch mini drones with bombs onto our bases when the time comes? Is that why they're investing in American farmland?
No.
I saw that piece though.
But it wouldn't hurt to have.
I mean, if you have like the United States, if they're seeing companies that are Chinese based buying up a lot of farmland, they have to just have you ever seen like those creepy videos of like the war in the Middle East with just satellites watching people walking around and stuff like that? They have to have satellites trained on these people at all times. And if you see enough materials coming in that look like it could eventually become something.
Of course they keep track of the Chinese farms.
Yeah.
Now here's the rumor I want to know. Bill Gates, I believe, is now the largest owner of farmland in the United States. Has the federal government paid him to buy farmland adjacent to the Chinese farms so that they can use Bill Gates' farms to spy on the Chinese. Rudy?
I don't think Bill Gates is spying, but if you put a floodplain map over the farmland that Bill Gates has bought, massive global warming and ice melt would leave all of the farmland he is buying above water.
Ooh, wow. Now, I don't know if that's true, but
This is your realm right here, man. This is it. This is where it all ties together. We got Bill Gates. We got global warming. We got conspiracies galore.
Yeah, but do we think the Bill Gates one is true? You know, they also thought during
Hunter does.
COVID, during
What's
COVID.
that?
Hey, you think this is true about Bill Gates? Hunter hates Bill Gates.
I don't necessarily hate Bill Gates.
You
I
hate
just
him.
think it's very peculiar. Here we go. Here's something to mess with that a little bit more. This right here shows that between 2021 and 2023, that Antarctic has gained 100 billion tons of ice, which we referenced last week. The Earth is also 5% greener than it was in 2000. Yet in 2024, emissions hit a record of 38 billion tons.
I don't understand. What does that have to do with the world getting greener?
Well, it's like, is global warming really this super bad thing? Or is this just a bunch of bullshit where someone's looking at one metric, but not looking at all the...
Well, it's bad, but that doesn't mean that the world's not getting green. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Plants feed on carbon dioxide. So if you put more carbon dioxide, you're going to have more plants. That's why
Well, the thing is like...
bugs were like enormous in like the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. You had more plants, more oxygen. Sorry. You know, bugs got huge. So I do think global warming will result in a greener, physically.
Well, I guess is global warming as bad as they claim it to be? Like if all of a sudden the growth
for people, it's not. People want to maintain the status quo of the way things are now. So as far as like, is it bad? I mean, for plants and animals, it's probably pretty good. For a major city on a coast, it's not.
Yeah, Miami. Sorry.
Well, it's not good for plants and animals that live in an area where they're getting deforested. Or
polar bears.
It's not good for animals that live in like rivers where there's a lot of sewage dumped.
But isn't the idea that this is just kind of part of a cyclical nature of the world?
No.
We're just talking about large bugs. We don't have these large bugs anymore. Things kind of just come and go and rotate as time goes on.
I think there's a natural cycle to the cooling and warming of the earth, but that it was greatly like sped up by what we're doing also. So I think it's like a combination. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's a gray area.
The world's not going to get cooler.
Ever?
Oh, maybe once once humans are wiped out, but the world has gotten warmer like every year for the last 5 years, and there's no reason to think that that's going to reverse itself based on the way that global warming works.
All right, well, let's talk about something that may kind of fall apart if global warming keeps on getting worse. Supposedly back in the days of Greenland, if you were a wanderer entering a Greenlandic community, basically you're invited into the home, and then the husband would leave and go on an adventure, and you were encouraged to have relations with the wife. And if you got her pregnant, it was considered good luck. And if all the ice melts, then we don't get to keep these traditions. Is this true?
No.
I don't think so either.
What?
In what world would that happen?
Well, I do know that in Iceland, they have like a dating app so that you don't hook up with your
cousin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
true.
I remember
I
remember when I was on that show Boundless, they were sending over, there was like government subsidized programs from Greenland where they were inviting Canadian men to come over to Greenland to create relations with women in Greenland and start to create diversity in their population. And you'd get paid. Like it was like $3,000 to $4,000 a month to go over there and do that program. And I was pretty pissed off because I was a broke 25-year-old and I needed that deal. But it was only offered to Canadian men.
I don't think so.
You guys are just non-believers.
Go
I'm
Greenland.
not into it.
I'm
You guys
pro Greenland being
I
a
don't
cup country.
I don't understand why the people in Denmark don't want to sell Greenland to the United States.
I will bring up this video that has nothing to do with anything, but I saw it this morning. I figured I'd share it on the page. Check out how shit this guy's day is. Going for a walk, which we all do. You can see a little bit of fear in him. He gets out of the way. This bull chases him down, beats the shit out of him, and just cruises on. And I don't know what.
Where?
I don't know what country this is in.
That bull does not look like a bull that we have here.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
No.
But look at these. These are pretty normal cars, pretty good infrastructure, you know, nice cobble streets.
That
This
looks
guy's
like a
like, "Oh,
Brahma
shit."
ball. That looks like a Brahma ball.
That guy gets this shit kicked out of him. And this is when you just recognize you have no chance of getting animals. This guy just a quick love tap and he is 10 feet up in the air.
Okay. Now
And the bull doesn't.
this could have been a manufactured video.
You think this is AI?
I didn't say that. I say it could be a manufactured video. I'm not saying that this didn't happen. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about this one, why you shouldn't probably trust foreign countries as far as bulls and also surgery. This is a story of a guy I believe is an attorney or he's the one who's just reporting on it. But basically, a group of girls went over to go have plastic surgery in Turkey. And while they were under, they had their organs stolen. And they found out about it after having like a medical checkup when they got back because they were not feeling good. And supposedly this kind of stuff is happening.
Where?
Turkey is a major hub of plastic surgery that people fly to all the time. That being said, there are areas that I walked around in Turkey that were like, okay, this could be sketch, especially the farther east you go. So I believe this. I also believe that is the worst toupee I've ever seen.
That guy's got a toupee?
That one right there looks horrible. If that's his real hair, he needs to do something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. There are no confirmed cases
What?
from reliable authorities or medical watchdogs that prove organ theft is occurring from legitimate plastic surgery clinics.
Legitimate plastic surgery from legitimate plastic surgery clinics.
Then I would say that true or not true, if you go to an illegitimate plastic surgery location, I would say, you know, you've taken your life in your own hands. Because the report I'm reading says that this has not happened in any, they specifically use the word legitimate.
You know why I stopped trusting plastic surgery is when Garrett, at Garrett's apartment down on 11th Street on the West Side Highway, they took this bar that we went to for probably 15 years. And it was called the Rusty Knot. And when COVID hit, their finances dropped and they couldn't hold on to the bar. And they changed it into a boob salon. They made it a plastic surgery joint. And honestly, I was heartbroken. And now I don't trust.
What does that have to do with anything bad happening other than?
Well, I'm just saying, if they can take away the Rusty Knot, they'll steal your organs.
Oh, okay. All right. I actually think that the chances that's true are 100%.
Yeah. Just like you guys took away an establishment that has been part of our family's lineage.
I'm willing to say that that's true.
There are illegitimate and unlicensed plastic surgery clinics operating in Turkey, posing significant risk to medical tourists. Many clinics employ staff without proper medical qualifications, leading to unsafe procedures and complications.
All right, we're going to end on one that is a PSYOP piece. Do you guys remember going around the mall and there was like those like little center kiosks that were like selling like makeup?
Watches,
like
whatever.
Watches, shit. Like you're like, no one ever buys this stuff.
Well,
supposedly, this was reported on Joe Rogan's podcast. You guys could do your research. Supposedly, these little helicopter kiosks were part of like a secret Israeli surveillance thing after 9/11, the Zoom copters. And I don't know why, but they supposedly placed them around the Northeast as some kind of surveillance type experience.
Let's look.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Let's look.
I did always question. I'm like, who the hell buys anything out of those center kiosks?
And like, why does Israel want information that people who are buying a helicopter from a mall? Like, what? Like,
Well, no, I don't
like
think
who
it's
do they
the
want to
helicopter.
spy on? Like Timmy?
Okay.
10-year-old Timmy?
They are used in malls, but basically to look for things like shoplifters. They do use small drones or helicopters to
But
look
Israel's
for
not doing
illegal
it in
activity.
America.
No, but the question is whether or not Israel had those special locations inside of malls in the Northeast.
No.
I don't think so either.
Really?
I just don't. I don't. Do I think Israel's spying on America? Yes. Do I think they're using drones that are being marketed to kids in a mall? No.
All right, fine. Guys, I brought you today. I brought you deep state psyop helicopters, paintings,
Bigfoot,
organ thieves, Bigfoot, climate
All of
crisis.
it. All right, before we
chemicals.
go, Hunter is running in the High Rocks World Championship next week on Thursday, adopting the Prefontaine approach to winning these races. And I want to say that right now, true, not true, 100% true that Hunter will win this race. Okay, true, not true.
Yeah, the thighs
All
are
of
sharp
it.
right now, baby.
All of it.
Thighs are sharp.
true.
I appreciate you saying that.
I'll be
Guys,
there.
yeah, we got the McIntyre household. Rudy's in California right now, so enjoy. Or you're not in California yet. You get there tomorrow. Okay. Well, dude, enjoy the hell out of yourself. Guys, thanks for tuning in. This is true or not. If you guys have interesting stories, you know where to find us. If you want to make it really easy, go to the show notes inside of the YouTube and add links to anything you guys want us to tackle. We'll do it. And we always appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been an interesting show. Garrett abandoned us, but this ain't the end, boys. We'll take a 2-week break while I'm traveling, but we'll be in the same location next week, Dad, or 2 weeks from now.
No, we're going to do this. We're actually, my 95-year-old father, who still is the mayor of the city he lives in and has all his marbles, is going to be our guest. We're going to set up a studio, Hunter. So you've got 3 generations, okay, in a studio with Rudy and Garrett on the other end, okay? My guess is that he can answer more of these questions than all of us combined.
It's going to be tragic.
Or just be so disgusted that he just disowns everyone.
Yeah, that'd be probably embarrassing too.
No, he thinks this kind of thing's fun.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye, everybody.